my business in 2011, I chose WIC, and it was really because the aesthetic that participation be solely the purview of task force members, and obviously others who are on the call are welcome to observe and watch. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to it looks like Superintendent Young, you've got a team with you. Thank you so much for taking the time to be with today and be with us today, and the floor is yours.
I'd also like to thank Dr. Maria and the task force for inviting us to present. We're hoping that we'll actually get good feedback and with your questions help us actually drive ourselves further in closing that achievement gap. I'm going to introduce my team. I have Aaron Newman, he's assistant principal at Stubenville High School. Jackie Reed, gifted coordinator for the district. And Deanna Bell, she is our STEM role for the elementary. Just to give you a little background of Stubenville, we're located in Jefferson County. We're in the eastern part of Ohio. Our district touches the Ohio River. We're about 40 minutes. We have 2,600 students. 855 of those students actually come from out of district through open enrollment. We're 69% economically disadvantaged, 40% minority. If you can go ahead and move the slide. And then I'm on the next slide as well. I'm sorry, I was talking too fast. We have one high school, one elementary, one middle school, and 4 elementaries. One of our elementaries just opened. This is actually their second year in operation. We had gone through a building program about 10 years ago. We closed 3 elementaries, and because of increased enrollment and also our focus on STEM, we reopened an old elementary. We have several reform models, and I think it's a little bit interesting about Stubenville. In the early 2000s, they had Ohio Read grants, and when we were looking to apply for those grants, our director of federal programs said that he was getting tired of jumping from one program to another, and several of our teachers would tell us, well, I'll outlast this program as well. So we really worked very hard with our teachers and also on research, and we chose Success for All Reading. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Deanna, who's going to represent our elementary and talk a little bit about that reform model and how we went about choosing it, and also how we stuck with it for 21 years.
Hi everyone. Success for All is with Success for All, it's data-driven. It's a data-driven curriculum that groups students by learning level appropriateness rather than chronological stage. So the students are at their master's level, and there we go. That's good. That's good. They are grouped by their mastery level. So there may be some graders that are functioning and mastering up to the 2nd grade level or even a 3rd grade level. So they are completing their tasks in those types of groups. They are cooperative learning groups. Obviously this year was a little bit different than math and the shield in the classroom. It was very beneficial for the kids. They were still able to partner read and use cooperative learning tasks. Our reading program is 90 minutes each day, and our math program is 75 minutes of uninterrupted learning. Preschool is provided in all of our elementary schools. It's offered 5 days a week, all day, every day. So there's also a tutoring program that is inclusive within the reading program that all students are provided if necessary. We also have implemented in the Success for All curriculum a character ed program called Getting Along Together. It provides students weekly cooperative learning groups where they are provided character education by their teachers. Sometimes the psychologist is in there, as well as a counselor within the district. Distributed leadership is, I'm just going to touch a little bit upon, and then Mrs. Reed and Mr. Newman are going to really forward it into it. In the elementary school, the teachers are provided with that they are part of through the Success for All curriculum. They're called solutions teams. And we will touch upon that a little bit later as well. The solutions teams are teacher-based teams, and they help provide new stakeholders to come into the district and help bring their knowledge to impact the students each day. As I said before, it is a data-driven program that the teachers are able to use to find success in all of the students. The teachers are provided ongoing professional development each year with a district coach that's provided from the Success for All curriculum. So that's just a little overview of what we do at the elementary and middle level. I said before, I could talk about Success for All for all day long, but there's obviously way more to touch upon. So I look forward to your questions as the meeting goes.
And Aaron Newman's going to talk a little bit about Students at Work. This is actually a program that we started in 2013, and that was actually driven by teacher teams that were looking at what the middle school and the high school, middle school and the elementary, and they wanted some program that was somewhat similar to that, and that used to be the old program with high schools at work and making middle grades work. And we adopted those programs in 2013, and I'll let Aaron talk about that.
Hi, everybody. So as far as the Schools That Work framework goes, the first two bullet points kind of, I would say those are coupled together. Because you have to engage students through quality instruction. And what I would say is that the work must be engaging, and we engage not all children, but each child. Wherever they are, we meet them where they are, and we try to push them to ensure that we maximize their potential as a learner. As far as what the instruction is, of course, it's aligned. We refer to them with compliance with state standards, and then we also very much believe in the career ready path for those students that may not be going to college, because we certainly have a wide spectrum. We are a diverse district, and we're really diverse when it comes to the socio. We have students that live in essentially abject poverty, and then students that live quite comfortable, and then everything in between. So it's very important to us that we are able to meet those students wherever they are, engage them in the curriculum, that curriculum that's aligned to those state standards, and then ensure that we get them on the pathway that best suits them, whether that's a college-bound pathway or potentially into a. And again, that kind of also dovetails in the bullet 3. It talks about students exploring careers and becoming either college-ready or career-ready. It is with that, and I know, in Ohio, we want to make sure that the students when they come out of high school are either college or career ready. That is the rule of the student city schools. Each student should be either college bound or into a career. That is our charge. We take it seriously. And every day that we walk through the doors to our respective buildings, that's the mission. We provide student supports, and there's myriad supports provided to our students. For example, we may have a student that's struggling in algebra 2 at the high school level. They would, and we identify that through reviewing our data, our achievement data. Communication lines open at all levels: instructional staff, support staff, administrative staff, and other partners, other stakeholders. If a student's struggling in algebra 2, I'm going to create a Khan Academy account. In Khan Academy is we believe in the efficacy of that program. We utilize it. And so that can provide some targeted intervention for students that may be struggling in that particular course. At the same time, we may have a student that is dealing with some type of health issue. We have a partnership with Changing Health. We have a clinic in the high school where we're we're able to send a student that might not have access to healthcare outside of school, we're able to meet their healthcare needs in school. At the same time, we may have a student that's in a mental health crisis of some kind. We have in-house therapeutic supports. There's therapy taking place in our building at the high school every single day.
That's not just the high school.
And yeah, I'm sorry. I'm kind of speaking on behalf of the high school, but really, that's everything I said relative to student wellness, physical and mental health wellness applies pre-K. Pre-K through 12. You know, Mrs. Young does a great job of promoting leadership and really supporting a culture where there's continuous improvement. We are not satisfied. We are never satisfied. We always want to do better. Well, I think that, you know, I would say that I think we do a pretty good job. It's never good enough. And you know, that again, that's kind of the mindset that everybody I know in this room, everybody in my building, everybody in Deanna's building, that's kind of the mindset that we bring into work each and every day. We have to do better. We need to identify through looking at our data, and also just the anecdote, you know, knowing our kids, knowing our building, where we need to get better, and then implementing, you know, practices, programs to meet those needs. And then, you know, one of the things that's on there is the 10 key practices. I can just real quick go through those with you guys. The culture of high expectation. And, you know, something that I would say is, I mean, our high expectations apply to all students, from students that may fall in a subgroup to students that are performing, you know, that have a 4.0 plus GPA. Our expectations are high for each child, not all, each, because they're all, as you know, every child that walks through our doors has a different set of circumstances that they're dealing with, and we make sure our expectations are high for all. Personalized programs for students, whether they're college or career bound, an integrated curriculum, equitable access to high quality career paths. Equity is something, again, I think that, you know, kind of goes along with when I talk about each child. Our kids having equal opportunity to the programs that we offer and the supports we offer, again, that's a rule of the road. You know, we have an advanced career program that is good right now. We're looking to make it great, and we have plans to make it great. We utilize research-based practices. PBIS is something that's been happening here before it was a mandate, but it's something that we feel like it's growing and getting even better and positively impacting kids each and every day, pre-K through 12. Teacher collaboration is certainly it's what we do. Teacher collaboration, teacher administrative collaboration. I mean, there's collaboration in all of our buildings between everybody. I mean, whether it's support staff, instructional staff, or leadership. Project-based, work-based learning, again, is one of our key practices. Guidance, you know, our guidance office, and, you know, at all of our buildings. You know, we're there for kids. We keep an eye on things. We're small enough to be quite personal, and recognize when there's everything from a change in academic performance to a change in demeanor of a particular student, and also support, you know, to meet the needs and make sure that we know what's going on with that particular student. And then extra help, as I mentioned, we have mentoring programs, tutoring programs, utilize Khan Academy. It's very important to us that if there is a gap, we do what we can to fill that gap or provide that support. And then we have acceleration programs through the utilization of CCP, which Mrs. Reeves will talk a little bit more about. But those are our key practices in all of those things that I just discussed. That it's really who we are and what we're about. So I think that would include my schools that work slide. That would take us over to the STEM. Next month is STEM education.
Okay, so STEM education, I'm going to talk a little bit about the advanced career programs because those are housed at Stubenville High School, and Deanna will go into some of the other STEM education projects we have going on. Advanced careers were adopted in the district in 2014. Right now, we're offering ISP aviation, which is our aerospace and engineering program, health informatics, and global logistics. The best thing about these programs are they have community partnerships. The aviation program is partnered with Pittsburgh Airport, and the global logistics is partnered with Walmart Distribution. So our students are making connections already for jobs after high school. They're working actively with their instructors and their partnerships to make sure that they can ensure a job after they graduate from us once they complete these. Right now, like Aaron said, these programs are good and we're looking at making them great. We're in our 6th year and we're finally to the point where we are offering 2 sections of each of course 1. So we're actually gaining interest among the students to take these careers on. This has a variety of students. You'll have your CCT students who are interested in one of the programs, as well as your workforce kids who are looking at just going to get a job out. Okay. So it's a variety of kids in these programs, and we are excited to see where they go. As mentioned, I'm the principal at the elementary STEM. We have 3 programs that we have adopted in the elementary portion that are now, after the success of this year and part of last year, I should say, has shown we are ready to put them into the other 3 elementary schools. Our first one is Project Lead the Way. Project Lead the Way, we house in a idea lab in the elementary school. In my building, it is smaller atmosphere, about 150 students in it. So I'm able to make the schedule a little bit nice and use that as a co-teaching atmosphere. So there is a lab teacher who is trained through Project Lead the Way as well as a classroom teacher. So they're able to co-teach and collaborate with one another to utilize Project Lead the Way. We were also just awarded a distinguished honor with Project Lead the Nation through Project Lead the Way at the beginning of the week. So that's something that we just received knowledge upon and we're very pleased about. We also use a program called Invention Land. We use this in our makerspace. I tell everybody that I give a tour to, it's called Magic Hat. The kids love this lab. They're able to use the engineering design process and use their imagination to do all kinds of different project-based applications. This is something that they love to do. They think it's the greatest place in the world, and they are able to use their imagination to make it. We also have received a grant from the farm to school grant, which is an agricultural grant. We have purchased greenhouses for each of the schools in the district. This one at McKinley STEM Academy is the largest in the district. We were able to do poinsettias out of it. We have all the children receive in there once a week for a science lab. They were able to make canning baskets. They grew from the start of their little seedlings, and then they cut and then they feed them and send them as to the community.
They saw that in one day. I mean, that was the big thing.
Very exciting. With this farm to school grant, it can grow next year. We are going to have a 4-H group in. So that is something that's very promising. The kids love to be outside. The kids are teaching me, because I really don't have a green thumb, I should say. So they're teaching me how to be a part of the agricultural society. And it's always been told to me, since I was a teacher, that when the seniors, when the high school students do surveys, they're the big thing that comes back is they want to be part of the agricultural side. So this is hopefully getting them started and helping them become part of that. Mrs. Young, do you want to touch upon the future?
We're actually using, stimulus money to, build an addition to Stubenville High School. We're really out of space. We, this year had quite a challenge going back. So we actually were able with COVID to still start school on time and stay in school for the whole year. But what we want to do is build an addition to Stubenville High School, that will focus on STEM, and we're using, part of our stimulus money to be able to do that. And we're hoping that it'll open in fall of 2023. The high school also houses an elementary, so that's why it's so critical for us to have space there and also give our elementary students another school other than McKinley as options for STEM education. That's why we're hoping with our advanced careers that we'll be able to extend those careers for our students and just really help them. I guess our big goal with our STEM addition is in Stubenville, our students typically leave. Once they go away to college, they don't come back to Stubenville. And we're hoping with STEM that we'll be able to provide them with good, solid, middle-class jobs that they can choose to stay in the area. We're lucky enough to have a community college right in Stubenville and also Franciscan University. So if they want to extend their education, that option would be available for them as well. But hopefully that they would choose to stay in Stubenville. And it also ties into us trying to get minority teachers as well.
Go ahead and go to the next slide, please. We're going to talk about our reform models district-wide. I guess the most important thing to point out when we look at our reform models is once they prove they work, we end up adopting them throughout the buildings in the district. We also, as we said in the beginning, it was brought to their attention, 20-some years ago, that they were tired of jumping from program to program and teachers saying that they can add them. So once we see that they work, we keep that. SFA has been up and running for over 20 years now. Stubenville High School adopted that work in 2013. We began our advanced career program in 2016. Stubenville High School also began CCC in 2016 with 2 pathways for students to participate. A lot of our area schools with the CCC expensive model. We took it when it was offered to best thing for our students to be successful, especially our first generation college students, because what proves success in college? Being successful in a college school. So this was a way for us to reach a whole other population to ensure that they would be successful after they were in high school. We also started a Maymaster in 2018 at Stubenville High School. It's a 20-day period of project-based learning. We offer CCC courses during that time, as well as block courses like the bioethics. They debate bioethics issues in that course. They meet for a 90-minute period. Harding Middle School adopted SFA reading in 2009 after it was proven to be successful in the elementary buildings, and SFA math in 2011. They took on making middle grades matter in 2013, and they adopted May semesters this year, 2021. It was supposed to be up and running last year, obviously, but the closure. Next slide, I'm sorry. The closure obviously put it off for 2 years. The elementary schools adopted SFA reading in 2000.
One more slide.
Sorry. Making work in 2019, and they adopted the May semester this year as well. I believe some districts had piloted it the year before. One of the piloted, but students are able to take courses that they typically wouldn't take during their regular school year. Our attendance rate is actually higher during Maymaster than it is during the regular school year. The kids are excited to be there. They presented at the board meeting. They will say things, we're doing projects and we're learning, and you don't even know that you're learning while you're doing this project. It's a very exciting time of process. Right after it ends the year on a constant note, we were able to get away from movies the whole week. We were able to get away from work for the whole week. You know, we were able to really focus on skills that will make students happy. We have a landscape class, and there's students who go to the elementary, middle school, they cut branches, they edge the yard, you know, it's really great. And at the elementary level, we did a team. So each elementary school has a team for a full month. One was physically help. The kid was even the Olympics. I think it might be as well. It was in each and countries across the world. Nice for the kids to do projects each day that come along.
And really, I mean, Maymester, the hallmarks of Maymester are PBL, project-based learning, and really what I would call extension. And obviously you have CPP options in high school. You also have courses that are essentially extension, enrichment, elective courses that really broaden students' horizons and expose them to ideas, content, material, whatever, that they wouldn't or otherwise be exposed to. And again, it's May, you know, the month, you know, that last month of school. It's such a great way to end the school year. You know, and I know Mr. Bell touched on that, but I just want to reiterate. Our kids literally were like high-fiving on the way out the door on the last day of school. It just is a really positive, really has a positive impact, building on the culture and we are protected. It really puts the exclamation and during maintenance. It's really successful.
And it also gives us time for credit recovery at the high school as well. So any of our students who are behind or haven't passed scores, they have that opportunity at that time to make that up so they can start the next year where they need to.
Okay, next slide. So at Stubenville City Schools, you know, these are several key components that are models for success for us. I mean, distributed leadership, again, what I would call it kind of a rule of the road for how we operate. There's several examples of it, you know, the BLT at the high school level, you know, we empower our teacher leaders. They know they have a voice. Their voice matters. It really does. Our leadership team, meaning our administrative team, we are not micromanagers. We certainly provide oversight and ensure that things are progressing and moving the way they need to move. But we do empower staff, particularly teacher leaders that we know, you know, are committed to our kids and committed to positive outcomes. So whether it's BLT or something like PBIS, I oversee PBIS. You know, the reality is the best ideas that the PBIS team came up with this year were not my ideas. They were the ideas of the team members. You know, it's important to us that our people know that their voice is important. It's heard, and not just heard, but we act upon. When there's good ideas, we embrace it, and we're not worried about who gets credit. And again, that's something that I think that's pervasive across all buildings and all grade levels. You know, then it's, you know, that kind of ties also into the teacher-led component. You know, I am fine as an administrator at the high school with teachers and or support staff leading the change. You know, if the outcome, if it leads to positive outcomes for students, particularly at-risk students, particularly students that fall in the subgroups, that's fine. And I want to hear all good ideas. I don't care where they come from necessarily, and I don't care if I get credit for it. And I know that's exactly the way that Mrs. Young leads this district. It's not about who gets credit, it's about positive outcomes for You know, we're focused and we base our actions on what the data tells us. You know, teachers are not in isolation doing their own things, which is collaborative culture, whether it's BLT or department meetings, TBTs. You know, we very much believe in working together and collaborating. You know, and our teams, you know, cooperative culture, community connections, prevention, attendance, parent and family involvement. You see that at all levels, from an absence intervention team to a principal advisory committee that we had that was a group of students, a diverse group of students, not the top 10 students from all demos were included in our principal advisory committee. I mean, that's just a couple examples, but I mean, I think it really, it's our strength is our diversity. Our strength is, you know, our approach to meeting the needs of each child. And I know I keep saying it, but I think it's important because it really is how we approach what we do.
Okay, moving on to the topic. I'm going to talk about this is probably one of my favorite reform models at high school state mandated program. I love the options it offers students. I love the money it saves students so they need to go to a four-year university, or if they choose to go to the workforce, they already have a degree. So right now, the College Credit Plus is offered all in-house. So two reasons this program I think is one is we offer everything in our school. So our students do not have to leave Stubenville High School to earn their associate degree from Eastern Gateway Community College. I think that speaks volumes. They're able to still be a high school student. They get all of their high school experiences. They are still connected to us. I am able to intervene if I need to intervene with that. So I think that proves somewhat of a success. So we have an active partnership with Eastern Gateway Community College. And when I say active, it's very active. Sarah Fletcher, the director of College Credit Plus, and Patrick Freeman, the advisor, work with me. They come to all of my meetings. They come to meet with our students. Patrick Freeman has actually held office hours in our building if students need to see him about one minority student. This year, we do students graduated with an associate degree. 9 of them are first generation college students, which is already broke a cycle right there. They already have 40 of them are enrolling at a four-year university, and 2 students are enrolling into a trade program. Another student with college to make sure that we are identifying students. In 8th grade, when we hold our parent meeting, we have every 8th grade student apply for a program. And then every 8th grade student is then tested for AFSCME placement. So if you're able to not miss anything, we don't want any students to fall through the cracks. Every 8th grade student with AFSCME placement, Eastern Gateway comes into our middle school fitness for the exam in 3 days in February. This year, and a great thing was open. Once we did test, we could use a 3.0 group. So with that, we were able to identify 132 new students who are going to be eligible to take CCP next year in addition to students I already gave you that. This year, out of our graduating class, 25% of students graduated with an associate degree. It's around 60% take Stubenville High School. 20% were minority students that graduated with an associate degree this year.
One key with the College Credit Plus is the instructors are actually instructors from Eastern Gateway. So our students are actually being fed at the same time they're in a little bit of a cocoon at the high school, being taken care of while they're given those opportunities. So we really feel, very happy to stay from ahead and kind of make that College Credit Plus a lot easier. Hey, that's all we have. I don't know if there's any questions.
Fantastic. What an amazing story. I really appreciate everybody's contribution. Let's go ahead and move right into questions. I see Tom Roberts has his hand up. Tom, you want to start?
Thank you, and can you hear me? I was very, very impressed by that. And let me commend you on the farm to school. You know, that addresses one of the major concerns I'm sure you have and we have, and that is food insecurity. And it helps those students learn how to be farmers and how to do it at home. I had two questions. One is, when you were talking about the student who may be struggling with Algebra 2, and you said something about how to communicate, lines of communication. How is that done? Is that done in the traditional plan where the parent and the teacher sits down with the student and works on that? But how is that physically done, that line of communication?
Good question. We have policies and procedures in place. So, I mean, it can happen. There are various ways that it can happen, but for example, a student, we have a very active guidance office at the high school. And so I've had a student stop in and express to me their concern because they're struggling with a particular class. And so that's one potential pathway for an intervention. But also our teachers, we have policies and procedures in place where teachers must communicate with parents, but also with the leadership team if a student is struggling in a particular class, so that we can intervene in a timely manner, not after they've already received the message, but prior to that. So and sometimes it may be where the teacher has attempted to communicate with the parent and has not been successful for whatever reason. And that gets referred down to the guidance office. This year, I probably had, it would be approaching triple digits meetings with students that I actually called down, talked to them about what was going on in that particular, and talk to them about how we could go about intervening. I didn't necessarily use that word with them. In Khan Academy, I found very effective program, but there could be potential questions. For example, does that student have a computer at home? If the answer is no, I would issue them a Chromebook that they can take home and use at home. There are even some examples where, okay, do you have a computer? Do you have Wi-Fi? Because we do have a large percentage of economically disadvantaged households, sometimes Wi-Fi was not present at the house. So we actually provided hotspots to homes so that students would have Wi-Fi, could take home the Chromebook and log on to Khan Academy. And by the way, I would set up the Khan Academy account. You know, one of the things, you know, part of the deal is that I get to monitor their progress to ensure that they're logging on and actually utilizing the supports that come along with Khan. Again, it's free program, standards line. I can't say enough. I would sing Khan Academy's praises all day. Not to mention their SAT prep is fantastic. I utilize Khan for that purpose as well.
Okay. So you were saying that there are multiple levels of intervention that we need to be thinking about, or schools need to be thinking about. The second, because I would like others to do, I think we have two or three other questions. The other question, Paulo, is how does a student feel? And if I understand what you're saying, in the reading, it's based on their level of reading. So let's say I'm a 8th grader and I'm a 3rd or 4th grader. Does that ever happen? And how does that 8th grader feel about being in a lower class? That's the real question. How do I feel as an upperclassman being in a group of students which are lower class?
Now, with the EDGE program at the middle school actually is grade level. The students at that point, they might be somewhat grouped by where their area, that they would be 6th graders on a 6th grade level. Our middle school 5 through 8. At the elementary school, they're grouped by, their achievement level, but we would never put a fourth grader with a first grade class.
I guess my question was, how does an upperclassman feel when he's in a class with a student who are in a lower grade class that he or she is in?
So, okay, with the middle level, so at the middle level, they held in a other eighth graders that maybe in that band, like they have the band for like third and fifth grade, you'd be somebody that's in that band, and the teacher is usually intervention specialist that is teaching them. So they're in a small group. So let's say that there are 10 kids in the eighth grade that may be functioning below grade level. They are presented material at an eighth grade level at times, because those are, they have to take the test and they have to be introduced to it. But when they are provided interventions within the classroom, they are provided maybe a little bit lower, things like that. They are not grouped with the third grader by any.
Okay. Thank you and keep.
Thank you, Tom. Let's go to Marcia Mockabee next. Marcia?
Thanks, Paula. And let me just say, amazing input into this district that makes opportunities for students to be successful. So my questions, and there are two quick ones. One has to do with the comment about being culturally responsive practices. Could you speak a little bit more about your culturally responsive practices specifically as they relate to Black children?
I mean, yes, I would be happy to speak on that. When I came home, and this is home, I'm a proud graduate of Stubenville High School, class of '95. I was in Northeast Ohio. Some people on the call may have heard me talking earlier. I was at Maple Heights and then streets prior to coming here. I love Northeast Ohio, but there's no place like home, and my family's here. One of the things that we did 2 years ago, we are into book studies, and it's not just something that the leadership team does. It's something that we ask that our teachers do, whether it's equity or trauma-informed instruction or culturally responsive practice. 2 years ago, 2 days before school started, we actually put all of our teachers on a bus and drove around the city of Steubenville. While many of our teachers do live in Steubenville, all of them do, and some of them live in parts of Steubenville, like any town. There are parts of Steubenville where some houses are nicer, I mean, there are socioeconomic levels built into how a town is living. We thought it was important that our teachers see where our students live. And we actually went and drove the bus routes and the pickup points and had teachers drive down streets and see homes that the reality is they otherwise wouldn't see, because we thought it was important that they see and really feel where our kids come from. Because not all our kids come from stable environments where there's two parents and there's somebody checking to see if they're doing their homework. We have a lot of students that are responsible for watching siblings while parents are at work. And so it's hard for them maybe to get a particular assignment done. That's why we believe in multiple chances for success, not firm zeros or zero tolerance policy. And this is, so I know I'm kind of talking about a few different things here, but like that to me is an example of us taking a concrete step to ensure that we are culturally responsive and that we understand that our kids bring a variety of experiences, life experiences. And those experiences they don't shed those experiences when they walk through the door of the school. They bring those experiences with them. And if our teachers are familiar with what those experiences are, what potential trauma these kids have endured or experienced, that they are not going to be able to effectively instruct them. They're not going to be able to effectively build the kind of relationships, trust, and rapport that we need to really engage a child. So that's just an example. I think I thought the bus trip, because I know, because I saw the looks on, I remember seeing the looks on some of our teachers' faces as we drove down Maxwell Avenue, as we drove down Summer. You know, these are streets. The reality is there were some people on the bus that had never been on these streets. And, you know, I think that's just one powerful anecdote of some of the things that we do to ensure our teachers know who our kids are and know the baggage. And I do not mean that in a negative connotation. The reality is that there are kids that bring, that they've been through a lot and they continue to go through a lot. And we have to recognize that, accept that, and meet the needs of those kids.
Okay,
So
thank
that's what I would say.
Thank you. The second part of my question is, what does your disaggregated data tell you about the impact of all these wonderful inputs that are there in that school? What is the impact upon success for this group of students? Thank you.
The data shows that the structure and consistency of the programs that we provide for all of the students, or as Mr. Noonan said, each of the students, is very positive. As Mrs. Reed stated, 25% of our students graduated with an associate's degree. 20% of them were of a minority group, which is fabulous. I mean, obviously the consistency and the structure that they are provided from preschool all the way to 12th grade is something of a success for them. And it just continues to build as they further their education after they leave school.
And we're also seeing, with predictive identification, that was a group probably 20 years ago that we start looking at that we were underrepresenting. Let's say coordinator talk, our minorities in. We started support systems that are elementary with the highest minority population, and I'll let her talk a little bit about that. But it actually, there right now, we're 40% minority and about 30% of our gifted students are minority. We're not still where we want to be, but we came from 10% to 30%. But I'll let her talk a little bit about that.
It's always an area I'm constantly looking at, trying to improve in the district. Anytime I go to a conference, I sit in on my identification. Yeah. So I became a in 2015. Yeah, 2016, I'm sorry, 2016. The year prior to, I was being trained under our Olympic coordinator, and we did tour all kinds of districts in Ohio to try to implement models. We went to Columbus City, and this is not their model. They developed the PEP program. We implemented at East Elementary. It's an early primary skills program. That's our building with our highest minority population. We implemented that there. We're now seeing they do small groups in kindergarten and first grade. Then they work with those students again in second grade who are performing at higher levels of primary thinking skills, and then I test them. We also at East, it's kind of like a service all grade model where they use a pull-out model in each grade as like you go to art class or music class is receiving not gifted services because they're not identified, but I would code it like gifted prep, like they're working on puzzles. They're looking at planograms. They're using the PET program there as well to try to identify more students. I also use building norms at East Elementary to identify students, to provide them services to try to close that gap as well. So we know that the state of Ohio requires you to have a 95th percentile or 125 gifted education. If my building norms are showing 85 at East Elementary, 85th percentile, I use the 85th percentile to provide those student services. Then also, that we're starting to see now where East is finally, we're starting to identify more students. For example, my second round of testing this year at East, I actually able to identify 4 students in identified no students in second grade. Not that that's success or wow, but I think that shows these programs are working at East Elementary.
Great, thank you. I'm going to go now to Venezuela Robinson, and then Earl Johnson, and then we'll move on to the next presentation. Venezuela, go ahead.
Thank you. One of my questions was asked already concerning how the upperclassmen felt with lowerclassmen in reading groups. But my second question is, how do you encourage parent involvement? Do you seek their input as stakeholders, community stakeholders, decision makers? And do you have parent groups in your school?
So we have parent groups in all of the schools. In the elementary, we call them second cups of coffee. And it was kind of funny because the elementaries have done it for years and years. And one of our high school principal married an elementary principal, and she always used cups of coffee. So he actually had the same program. And the first year that he implemented it, he had more parents showing up for his sessions than she had for her. But with that second cup of coffee, in the elementaries, they do it by grade levels because we actually work with the parents on the reading and the math program, because part of the SFA is they do 20 minutes reading every night, and they also have math homework every day. At the middle school and the high school, what they did is they do it monthly, that they have parents come in, and they can either come in remotely, or they can actually come in person, and they cover different types of topics. One topic that they actually present for was social media, and that was a well-attended event with parents at that time. And if we can get them in the building, which we really like, we like people to come in our building and actually keep doing when they're there. The principal usually take them on some type of tour somewhere in the building to show them what's going on. But those second cup of coffees at all levels have been very successful, and we have parents on all of our advisory committees, of course.
At the elementary level, we also do literacy evenings, one each semester, sometimes two. And that incorporates like a family atmosphere. The children come in with their parents. They're able to do crafts and do social emotional things. So that's something that's very positive, getting the kids in and the parents and the family.
Thank you.
Now I'm going to end with Meryl Johnson. Meryl, go ahead.
Thank you. I have two questions. My first question is, as far as teacher scheduling, is there collaboration time scheduled during the day, or does that collaboration take place outside of the school day?
At the middle school, they're able to schedule that they can do cross grade, like they have all fifth grade, sixth grade, seventh grade, eighth grade. They can have a common plan. Unfortunately, high school, I don't believe they have common plans.
Somewhat.
The orange is spending a ninth grade Italian information. But our ninth grade students, that you have to do all your ninth grade years point on. If we're behind ninth grade, we're going to be catching up the whole time. So this year we're implementing ninth grade. That'll have the same team of teachers, and those teachers are going to have experience plans, and we're able to meet together to provide interventions and communication skills together as a team. This was adopted from where Mr. Newman came from, I believe.
Yeah, we had at Maple Heights, we had small learning communities. Maple Heights High School, included in that was the freshman academy. I was blessed to be the freshman academy principal. That was actually my first administrative time. And having team planning as opposed to a department plan, where all English teachers are off. What we're looking to do is have all teachers that teach freshmen will have the same planning period. So they're able to discuss, look at data, identify, trend data, identify deficiencies. So the academic achievement side, but then also, particular students, maybe positives and or potential issues with a specific student or any other issue that would come up, because those teachers are going to be instructing the same students. And I do believe a team training approach, I mean, I think the efficacy in that is pretty well proven. There's data to support that, and that's something that we're going to be implementing this year. We're excited to do that.
Thank you.
Yeah, with the elementaries, what they do is they do all of the solution teams, and the teachers are required to be on those teams. The support people, are encouraged, but they're not required, but we're lucky enough in the elementary building with all of them actually on one of the solution teams. They meet, 30 minutes before school starts, 30 minutes after school ends. And the meetings, we've been doing it long enough that we're able to keep those meetings pretty tight, and they can actually get their work done in that time. I know it sounds like a short amount of time, but the teachers and the support staff, they have all of the material ahead of time. So when they come to the meeting, they can actually do their work.
Yes, during my teaching experience, we were able to have planning periods, and the parents loved it because they were able to meet with all the teachers at one time. So that's a great way to do that. My second question, I was interested when you said the expression on the teachers' faces when they did the tour through Stubenville, and I'm wondering, how do you make sure that teachers' expectations are not lowered after they experience where some of their children live?
I think it would be just the opposite, to be honest with you. I think that they are surprised that they get up in the morning, they come to school, they're ready to learn, and giving what they saw on that community drive. I used to teach at East Elementary School before I became a principal, and that those students to come into school after things that we as adults knew that occurred in their environment the night before, especially being able to, they had different they had lunch. I mean, that's the happy place. We as educators have to realize that we are the happy place, that we have to be their positive of the day. And for them to be, maybe they can't read full fluent paragraphs, but they can pick out sight words and they can do this. You have to look at the positive. And I think that the teachers on that day were so surprised that, oh my goodness, maybe Johnny over here really had a rough night, and I have to just be excited to be back.
That's wonderful.
If I was to jump into, we have a culture of high expectations. That's one of the things I talked about. And I mean, and that really is, I mean, we have high expectations for our special ed students. We have high expectations for our economically disadvantaged students. And that's something that we talk about. But I hear what you're saying. When teachers see a dilapidated structure that happens to be where student A lives, how do they not lower expectations? And that's where it's our job to ensure that our expectations, that the rigor of the curriculum is maintained. But I think it gives us an opportunity to have conversations about things like multiple chances for success.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how difficult it is, and I would say especially with teachers that have been doing it for a while, to get out of their mind, okay, the assignment wasn't turned in today. A 0 out of 100 is going to have a devastating impact on students' grade and could potentially lead to them saying, well, what's the point in me trying now moving forward? That bus ride really enabled us to have constructive conversations around some of the things that we wanted to implement, particularly multiple chances for success, and also just recognizing that here's the reality. The kid walks through the door at 7:45, and at 2:30, they're going home. They're going home to whatever issues, problems that exist in that home. And it opened our teachers' eyes to that. And I think empathy is the more appropriate word.
Right.
Yes, some, but empathy. And I think you cannot be an effective teacher without having empathy. And not all teachers have empathy. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say all of our teachers do. I think most do. And that's something that we continue to work on. And I think that it's something that we on statewide. But, you know, that's kind of how we utilize that particular, because when the teacher feels
where some of these students come from, and you see that they might have broken windows, you even want to have higher expectations in your classroom because you want them to be able to hold a successful job at one institution. You want them to go to Kent State and become the teacher that they want to become. So I think it also has that aspect that you see these conditions they're living in, and they need something better in their life. So we provide the empathy, like Mr. Newman said, but we even raise the bar to ensure that they're being.
Thank you very much.
Yes. Stubenville, thank you so very, very much for your great presentation. I want to go ahead and shift to Licking Heights and Superintendent Philip Wagner. Again, one of the things I'm going to do with all three of these districts is follow up with a little bit of a request follow-up question. So if you didn't have a chance to ask your question of Stubenville and may not have your chance to ask questions, I'll collect those from you electronically. We'll do a little bit of follow-up. That way we can keep that presentation going. It's